When I was in high school, I joined our parish choir, St. Barbara Parish in Brookfield. That's my home parish. And I joined the choir because I loved music and I loved singing. You probably know that by now. And I remember that first year when I was in the choir as we drew near to Holy Week. And I found out that the choir was going to be singing at all the liturgies of the Sacred Paschal Triduum, the evening Mass of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday, the Liturgy of the Passion on Good Friday afternoon, the Great Vigil of Easter on Saturday evening, and then again on Easter Sunday morning. And it was the first time for me that I'd ever been to those liturgies. I remember after the liturgy on Holy Thursday, just really being impressed by the solemnity of that evening and that kind of undercurrent of joy, even though we know we're getting into something a little bit more serious. You know, the rite of the mandatum and the procession with the Eucharist to the altar of reposition while we sang the Pange Lingua. And then I remember the next day, on Good Friday, blew me away. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. The priest coming in, wearing red mass vestments and laying flat on his face in front of the altar for about two or 3 minutes, doing that prostration at the beginning of the liturgy. Then we chanted the Passion. We venerated the cross. It was amazing. And I remember walking home. I remember it was a nice Good Friday afternoon. I remember walking home and thinking, why have I never experienced this before? Why has our family never gone to the liturgies of the Triduum? And I got home and I said to my family, I said, it's amazing. It's just incredible. Why have we never gone? And I remember my mom saying, well, Father Michael, we don't have to go because they're not holy days of obligation. And she's right. The liturgies of the Sacred Paschal Triduum, apart from Easter Sunday itself, are not holy days of obligation. And there's a good reason for that, but that's for another homily. But what I remember thinking as a 16-year-old kid was, obligation? Who cares about an obligation? This is awesome. These are the greatest liturgies I've ever been to. And I was right. They are. And that's why I love that we get this gospel today, right on the front porch of Holy Week. We get this gospel and those last two lines. When the people say, what do you think? That he will not come to the feast. Now, if you remember from English class, we call this dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is when the audience or the reader knows something that the characters in the story don't know. So they're kind of asking that question. What do you think? Is Jesus going to come to the feast? We know he goes to the feast. We know that he cannot not go to the feasts. The whole reason for Jesus' incarnation and being in the world and being right there is so that he can fulfill his mission of his passion, death, and resurrection. How could he not go to the feasts? The feasts were designed from the very beginning, going back, all the way back to Moses, expressly for that moment of Christ, going to the Passover, sacrificing himself on the cross, sacrificing himself in the Eucharist, descending into the lower world, freeing all the dead people who live in the lower world, and leading them to heaven, and promising us that we would be led to heaven. So the question isn't, do you think Jesus is going to come to the feast? The question is, are you going to come to the feast? Are we going to come to the feast? Are we going to avail ourselves of these powerful, amazing liturgies when we don't just remember what Jesus did, but we actually live it? You see, because that's who we are. We, the church, the baptized, are the risen body of Christ. We are members of Christ's body. And when we celebrate the liturgies of the Sacred Paschal Triduum, we are doing it right here and right now. We are the ones who are experiencing the Lord's Supper right here and right now. We are the ones who are dying with Christ on Good Friday. We are the ones who are rising with Christ in the middle of the night on Holy Saturday. And then we are the ones who on Easter Sunday are letting the joy of Christ's resurrection spread throughout the world. The question isn't whether Jesus is going to come to the feasts. He is the feast. The question is, are you going to come to the feast?